Right, where are they? Can't be that hard to find, they were supposed to be huge, Jackie grumbled, as they trotted around the paddocks looking for this remarkably elusive tank. But Texia went with Tom there. Just need to find her then, she muttered to herself, as she spotted a large set of red shoulders sticking up over the ridge of a tent. That way. The group of girls all followed along, though with some complaining from Essie and Fengi about the muddy feet they were all getting. I thought we were going to get the beer and carry it back, Ray asked cautiously. I don't think the ones we got will do. No, these are for us. Actually, everyone grab another beer, Jackie went, stopping and setting down the 4 cardboard holders at a table, leaving them for the others to pick up. She managed 2 beers for herself and set off at a jog, trying hard not to spill anything, which she sort of managed. She rounded the corner and was confronted with both the dragons, standing in the middle of the road that ran through the paddocks, surrounded by guys and girls in green. But the real prize was the tank sitting in one of the paddocks. Oh my god, that is an actual fucking tank, she let out, setting off at a sprint. One guy turning to face her with a friendly smile on his face, holding up his hand to shake. A beat of her wings and a jump sent her sailing over his head, flipping around mid-air, eyes locked on the beer, making sure to keep it in the plastic glasses. She came down with a thunk on the roof of the tank, standing up and looking around at where she was standing. What kind of tank is it? Is this all steel? That's a machine gun, right? I mean, it's a leopard. Would you please come down from there? The kind man responded, his gaze having followed her through the air. He was currently gawking at her, arms still held out for a shake. What? Why? Just so you don't break anything. The very polite-sounding guy replied, Jackie snapping her head up for a quick look around. It would seem she had gotten the attention of most of the people here, including Tom. Jackie, please do as the nice man says. I'm sure he'll be quite happy to show you around the tank if you ask nicely. But it's literally a box of steel. How would I ever break it? 'Cause it's full of delicate and very, very expensive equipment. Tom tried again, in that calm, diplomatic tone he so often used, when she knew he just thought she was being a bit dumb. Fine, she let out annoyedly, hopping down to the ground and reaching out one of her 2 beers to the nice man as payment. Want to show me around? I want to see too, Piggy then let out, as the younger woman came running over with just the 1 beer, Saf hot on her heels, Essie and Ray taking it more slowly, coming up further behind. It's a bit cramped in there. Maybe one at a time, the guy went, looking around at them and glancing down at the beer. Man up, Jens. Can't complain of being lonely and then stand up 3 girls that want a tour of your baby. One of the larger, more burly guys laughed out, walking over. Tom just watched, clearly amused, before turning back to talking with some dude with more rank taps on his shoulder, Texia paying attention to said conversation. Fine. Leave me with the big burly soldier, see if I care, Jackie muttered to herself, turning back to the small polite guy and pointedly ignoring the big loud one. So? Oh, sure. I'll give you the tour. Maybe just stick your heads down through the hatches or something. You seem to have quite long necks. Yeah, we're dragonettes, Saf replied, seeming a little nonplussed. Right, yes, of course. I noticed, the guy muttered, sounding rather unsure of himself as he turned back to his tank, spreading his arms wide. This is a Leopard 2A7DK. That means it's Danish. Right. It's got 48-litre twin-turbo diesel with 1500 horsepower and is armed with a 120mm main gun that fires. I am so bribing that guy into letting me drive this thing. Or maybe just ride along. I'll give him a hug or something. That should do. Jackie, you are a genius. The nice man did indeed show them his baby in great detail, his earlier unease disappearing, as soon as he had to talk tech rather than talk with 3 girls, it would seem. It turned out he was the driver, with the loud guy from before being their loader. Jackie thought she might make a very good loader, but the driver wouldn't let her handle the shells for some odd reason. He did let her sit in the gunner's seat though, and he let her play with the controls. The tank wasn't on right now, so they didn't do anything, but it was still awesome. "Enjoying yourself down there?" an older-sounding man questioned from above. Jackie looking up through the open hatch, seeing the higher-ranked guy Tom had been talking to, looking down at her. "Sir, yes, sir," she replied enthusiastically. "Are you the commander?" "Yep. I see someone has taken my seat," the man questioned, looking at where Saf was sitting. She just waved at him, seeming quite comfortable. "So, it's your tank?" Jackie asked curiously. "Sure is," the commander chuckled heartily. "Ooh, I want to ask a favor," Jackie tried, getting ready to lay on the charm. "Which is?" "Can we ride along for the pool?" "No. Why would we want to give up those seats? And can't just have you sitting on the roof now, can we?" The commander chuckled, shaking his head a little. "Drinks on me afterwards," Jackie attempted, doing her best to pull a Piggy, blinking a few times at the commander. "Pretty please." "Done deal. Welcome aboard," the commander replied, looking away while still standing above her. "Drinks on the tall one tonight, Per. I don't want you walking tomorrow morning." "Sir, yes, sir," came from somewhere outside. Jackie turning to look at Saf, who was just staring at her. "Well, I guess that's one way to make friends." "This is going to be expensive, isn't it?" "Mm-hmm." The girls had come back to where Dakota and Shiva were sitting comfortably, bringing more beer as well as assuring her and Shiva that drinks with Jarrett's would be in order, even if it would take some time. The Blue had returned to his spot behind them and promptly proceeded to take a nap. Quite why he thought trying to sleep near the track was a good idea was beyond Dakota, but he was soon wide awake again as the next class started, the machines only growing louder and louder as the sun started to set. Then, all of a sudden, after the announcer spoke up about the next class, Piggy, Saf and Jackie all had places to be. Dakota just lifted an eyebrow and, looking at them, confused, as they got up and jogged off in a hurry. Some of them, namely Jackie, swaying alarmingly by now. "Where do you think they are going?" Dakota questioned, crossing her fingers that she wouldn't have to do anything about it. She had just gotten nice and comfy, not to mention they still had cold, fresh beer. "Texia must be about to pull. Other than that, I have no idea," Shiva replied disinterestedly. "But we might have to go grab ourselves a beer without them." "Catastrophic." "Quite." "I could go get some," Ray spoke up, Dakota turning to look at the cripple, not sure if she wanted to accept that offer. "Why don't we drink ours, then go together? I wouldn't mind finding a human or two to chat with either. Surely there must be some interesting people mixed in here and there." "Okay," Ray replied, glancing at the large crowd, clearly unsure if she wanted that particularly much. It didn't help that there was apparently a bit of a fight going on right now between a pair of very large-bellied individuals. "I'm sure the kids would love to say hi," Essie added with a warm smile, putting a hand on Ray's thigh. Oh yeah, I guess we could do that," Ray replied, livening up a bit, clearly more happy with that solution. It was mostly dark when Texia walked out onto the track, the huge dragon taking up nearly the full width of the track, standing at over 6 meters tall at the shoulder. She had apparently decided to turn off her belt for the weigh-in, probably wanting to show off just how big she was. She had weighed in at 57 tons, which, incredibly, still had her be the lighter one of the two when it came to pulling against the tank. Saf had asked Tom who he thought would win, and he hadn't been able to give a straight answer. He had just started mumbling about claws and traction, and rubber pads on the tracks. Saf didn't really care. She was voting for Team Tank because she and Jackie both got to sit in the turret, even if she had to give up the commander's seat for the man himself. Piggy had somehow managed to convince the guy to let her hang on to the top of the tank, despite some protests. She had pointed out how they were used to doing this with a living being with a tendency for sudden dives and corkscrews, which had done the trick. As well as a promise of getting to try the real thing on Jarrex, something which Saf was quite sure the Blue didn't know anything about. They had all watched from the tank as Texia had started wandering down the track at a steady pace. Clearly not buying the whole get some speed part, she simply marched on, inexorably, all 4 clawed feet digging in equally. "Looks like the Red Lizard has 4-wheel drive," the loader had quipped, standing on top of the turret to better see. "Look at the fucking flames, guys. We're sure that's a living thing, right?" Saf looked up at the big display that was there to make it easier for people to see what was going on. In the dim light, one could see the jets of flame shooting from her nostrils with every laboured breath as she hauled. "What? You think she was only a red for show?" Jackie chuckled happily. "Just be happy she's not a green." "Fucking hell, lad. Boss, we aren't allowed to pull the restrictors, right?" "No, Pa," the commander replied with a sigh. "Not like losing would lead to a war now, would it?" "If it helps, I'm sure the king could be convinced to trade a dragon or 2 for a few tanks," Saf sniggered, watching on as Terexia's claws betrayed her, the dragon clearly having more strength but no way to use it, as she came to a stop. All 4 legs still digging away, the track thoroughly ruined, as far as Saf could tell. "I'm sure he would. 90.1, guys, that's our mark. Try not to break anything." "Oh, come on, Kevin. Can't be that bad losing fire-breathing dragon." The loader, laughed, patting the poor driver on the back. The run had been a little uneventful, if Piggy was being totally honest. The tank just rumbled along slowly, to the point she couldn't really work out why they hadn't just all been sitting on the roof. It had lurched back and forth a bit as the driver changed gears or something, but in the end they had just come to a nice dignified stop as the tracks had started to spin, kicking up a bit of dirt. It had been nothing like the other tractors, that was for sure. But Jackie had promised drinks, and the tanker for the dragons had indeed arrived. So now it was party time. There were still some far more boring tractors pulling away out on the track, but they had seen enough. When Piggy had worked out there was a dance floor, she knew what she would be doing with the evening, aside from getting all the drinks. She had even managed to get Jackie and Saf to come along, both of them rather plastered. There was no shortage of guys, but there were some girls too. Piggy even guessed they weren't too far off in terms of age, and one of them could definitely dance. The music was far too loud for talking, so they had just danced without a care in the world. It was quite nice, really, even if Jackie did have to be restrained after knocking out a dude for some reason or another. It seemed like it was all a misunderstanding, as 5 minutes later he had his picture taken, with his head in her jaws. They had all ducked for cover though, as Texia let out a gust of flame over their heads, perfectly timed with the odd song named Froya Fry they were playing. The old Red had laughed so hard at their reaction that her bassy voice actually managed to cut through the speakers, lending a rather more sinister vibe to the music, before she let loose again at the encore. The drunker people on the floor, that's to say those around Jackie, soon caught on. Spurred on by the gun nut, they all got well and truly into shouting and or screaming along with the music. Piggy just shook her head before noticing that her dance partner was still cowering, hunched down low behind Piggy. "Oh, come on. She's been doing that for hundreds of years. She's not going to grill anyone by accident," Piggy sighed, grabbing the human woman and helping her up. "Nothing to be afraid of," she carried on with a big smile, as the woman staggered to her feet, not seeming that sure. "Are you sure? She seems a little drunk to me," Safford shouted, holding her head close to Fengi to try and be heard. And I'm pretty sure that hose she's got is just beer. Oh, I'm sure it'll be fine. Fengi chuckled, suddenly a touch nervous. Then she spied Jackie drunkenly making her way to the guy in charge of the music, clearly demanding his attention. Oh, what now, Jackie? Oh, I know this song, Jarek giggled to himself, picking up the big metal glass of beer the nice people had made for him. Apparently, they had just cut the lid off something they called a keg, but oh well. They just kept filling it though, so he was going to do his part. This bubbly stuff is amazing. It tickles so much, he mused happily, starting to make his way over to the dance floor thingy, limping on 3 legs so he didn't have to put down his beer yet. The dance floor was more of a platform with a bunch of lights and speakers strewn around, all under open sky so he wouldn't try stepping on it, afraid he would break something. He had seen what Texia had pulled, though, and he was not to be outdone. Oh, 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 oh! Thunder! Thunder! He chuckled, before setting down the keg, getting ready. He was being very quiet and very sneaky. His blue blended in brilliantly with the darkness, in his mind, as he kept the humming along to a minimum, waiting for his moment to strike. Thunderstruck! The music blared out, as he turned his head skywards and let rip, trying not to giggle while firing, as the deafening crackles of electricity ran out shooting towards the sky. Ooh, I got them there. Jareks! Some angry-sounding woman let out. He started looking around, trying to work out who there might have been or where it had come from, just in case it was actually someone he should worry about. Who he spotted was Dakota, and she was walking her way not looking very happy, as Texia laughed her ass off, back at the beer truck. What? I didn't hit anything, I think. No shooting lightning bolts, okay? There are too many people around. What if that's illegal? They have laws against breath weapons here. No, I mean, just don't, okay? Fine, Jarek sighed, turning away from the dance floor, doing his best to look ashamed. For about 3 seconds, until he could hear the encore coming on again. Jareks, don't you dare! Jareks just snickered mischievously, lowering down and getting ready to run as Dakota's face turned to one of horror. Jareks once more raised his head towards the sky and let loose as he set off running back towards the beer truck. Thunder! Dakota had set off after him, but she had no chance as Jarek skidded to a stop, picking up the other keg, which had now been filled and starting to drink. The crew of the truck looked on a touch nervous to him, but oh well. They were probably just scared of his awesomeness or something. He just about finished the keg, as Dakota caught up and he set off again, running a ring around the angry-sounding woman, and heading back to where he had left his first keg. They couldn't fill his drinks for him if he didn't give the empty one back, after all. As he stopped to pick it up, he made out up the sound of wing beats closing in. A slight twist of his head revealed Dakota coming in on the wing, heading right for his head. So he just lowered it down, causing her to go sailing past, swearing rather viciously, followed by a crashing sound as she impacted some sets of chairs and tables. Oops. Dakota skidded to a stop underneath a wooden table, looking up at the rather bewildered human sitting at said table with beer and sausage in hand. She had known that having a crack at flying while inebriated wasn't smart, but damn it, how else was she going to catch that damn dragon? Jarek, for his part, was just laughing his ass off at her misfortune, struggling to breathe and starting to wheeze. Ah, here, have lit maiden their serenade. The rather fat human bumbled incoherently. He was both drunk and speaking Danish. She stood no chance, but he did hold his glass down for her. She wasn't really sure she wanted to share a glass with the man, but fuck it. As she reached up for the plastic cup, he just pulled it away from her. She She turned to stare at the man with a very annoyed expression. She was in no mood for this right now. She actually just wanted that damn beer. Eben up, the guy replied, opening his mouth wide, seemingly demonstrating for her what to do. Oh, for fuck's sake, she just grumbled in Draconic, looking at him as meanly as she could manage. It did not seem to faze him one bit, as he just held the cup there expectantly, opening and closing his mouth once more, going, like he was talking to a damn toddler. Things were not improved by Jarek still laughing, to the point he was now writhing on the floor completely out of air. Well, someone finds it funny at least. Oh, whatever, get arrested, you damn dragon, see if I care. Dakota finally relented, as she just opened up, leaning her head back a bit and closing her eyes. God, little Piggy. I swear, if I ever work out what that means, I will probably be very angry. Hey, guys! Jackie shouted out, holding up her empty cup and shaking it a bit. What else we got? Shots! 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 One of the drunken guys Poet found started chanting, soon being joined by more and more people around them. Like whiskey? She tried shouting into Purr's ear, grabbing him by the hair and pulling his head closer. He didn't seem to mind as he just nodded. Sure, we have other shit too, though. Sweet, Jackie just replied with a laugh, letting him go and turning to try and make her way to the bar, the rest of the group doing the same thing. Okay, we can do sweet, he just shouted out, pushing some people aside to take the lead, walking up to the bartender and starting to speak gibberish. Sweet whiskey? That sounds strange, Jackie thought to herself, having a look at the dance floor where the party had truly got going. She had started collecting more of those cap things, hanging them from her horns, and she also had someone's sandal up there now. She didn't really know where it had come from, but it was hers now. The bartender started pouring some sort of bright liquids into the cutest little plastic glasses she had seen yet, and he was pouring a lot of them. 2 sets of 6 as far as she could count right now. And there was blue, red, green, a few yellows, and a clear glass there. Ooh, a tasting board. Wait, is this on my bill? I can't remember, Jackie pondered, once more leaning in close to Purr and shouting at him. Did I pay for this? Fuck yeah, you did. Start at that end, one at a time going this way. Ready? Fuck yeah, Jackie answered on pure instinct, as other people had some of these shots poured for them, raising their glasses and looking around at each other expectantly. Then Purr started them off with some sort of chant. Can Jackie drink und? Can Jackie drink und? She had no clue what it meant, but Purr took the first shot and just slammed it down, so she did likewise. It was fucking delicious. Some kind of sweet yet sour apple taste. She could drink more of this stuff for sure, so she grabbed the second one right away and slammed it, just as Purr asked if she liked it. He quickly downed his own, then had to try really hard to keep up, as Jackie went down the line of sweet concoctions, the crowd cheering and taking their own shots. When Jackie put down her last glass, she felt all warm and fuzzy inside, and she could feel the sugar in there. It shouldn't be long before that worked his magic. Saf has to try this. I'll be right back, she shouted at the group, going looking for a friend in the chaos easily enough, leaving the boys behind through superior shoving. She found her sitting at a bench just outside the dance floor, along with Ray, chatting with some girl she guessed they had found. Saf, you have got to try these shot things. We want shots? One of the girls perked up, looking around at the others. Shots? Another one questioned, as the third confirmed. Shots! Woohoo! Saf and Ray seemed a little confused, but they just shrugged, looking at each other. I'll go get some. I know the bar guy. Wait here, the first girl replied, getting up and walking off, leaving Jackie a little conflicted. Did she stay here or go back to the floor? It was great fun in there. Saf clearly picked up on it and patted the bench next to her that was now free. Stay for the shots, then you can go back. Great idea, Jackie agreed, pointing at her and going to sit down next to Saf. Oh, hi Dakota. How are you doing? Oh dear, was Ray's only response, as Dakota sat down, placing her arms on the table and burying her head in them, the other girls making space for her. She was dripping with beer and muddy all over. I don't want to talk about it. Want a drink or something? I think we're about to try shots, Saf tried hopefully. Ray reached over to give Dakota a pat on the arm. There, it is only mud. Girl, you need a drink, one of the nice ladies they had sat down with offered, pushing a glass with some colourful liquid towards Dakota, who raised her head up just enough to peek at the glass. What's in it? The woman leant in a bit, holding a hand up to her mouth as if to whisper. Vodka and Red Bull. I heard you people like sugar, and between the two of us, it looks like you need a pick-me-up. Dakota looked to Ray and Essie questioningly. Essie just shrugged, and Ray didn't know what to say. I haven't had one. I don't know what it tastes like. I got a... Mojito, I think? Mojito! The three human girls shrieked out in unison. That one is very good too, but you need this one, I promise you. The very loudly whispering woman reassured, pushing the glass a bit closer. Dakota looked at the woman, then back to the drink once or twice, then sat up proper in her seat, forcing on a smile and reaching for the glass. Thanks. I hope Tom won't be mad we didn't ask him. Essie, where is Tom? Ray questioned, leaning in a bit closer to Essie. I think he's with Shiva, Texia, and the tanker folk. He seemed to get along with them well. Maybe they know each other? I know Texia is mostly just annoying Jarrix. Oh, yeah, that would make sense, Ray agreed, nodding excessively before going back for a sip of her own very lovely drink. It was much better than the beer, even if one did have to watch it with the sugar. Oh yeah! I've killed dragons, darklings, night terrors, fucking everything! I love guns and Tom showed me a bike once. Seems fucking awesome. Any of you got one? Jackie questioned, looking around at the group of guys, having once more made it back, after yet more shots. She would definitely be lying if she said she wasn't enjoying the attention just a little. The alcohol probably helped, but this had to be what Saf used to feel like when she was a racer. They had gotten plenty of attention coming here thus far, of course, but that was more just gawking. The fact they were a novelty, alien even. But this wasn't that. This was admiration, and it was fun. That and she was very sloshed by now. Those cute little shot thingies just tasted so lovely. And they gave her the jitters too. She was fucking hyper right now. She was about to launch into the epic retelling of how she, Jackalope Furlong, slayer of dragons and layer of humans, had brought low a red dragon all by herself with no help at all, when Dakota of all people came storming onto the dance floor, hauling a very confused looking Fengi after her, who didn't seem to quite get what was going on. What the... Huh? Jackie questioned, gawking, tilting her head a little, drink going with as she started to pour it out on the floor. One of the guys was at least kind enough to take her drink and put it on the table for her. Dakota ushered Fengi to do some dance moves for some reason, and then proceeded to copy happily, a massive grin on her face, teeth on full display, as she went to town with more enthusiasm than even Fengi. Someone's having fun, Purr chuckled, leaning back in his chair staring at the two dragonettes, as they really got going. Some young human man came up, seemingly wanting in, and started spinning around on the floor. Fengi looked at him a touch confused, probably trying to work out what he was doing or something. Dakota just had to go at it with little success. Then she tried again, and again, and again. Well, I guess we know why she's gotten so muddy then. Yo, is someone filming? Yup, someone's sticking from somewhere. This is so going on YouTube, bro. Jackie looked down to see if something had gotten in her drink, finding her hand empty. Where did it go? Think someone gave her drugs or something? One of the guys asked, sounding a little worried. Nah, man, it's the sugar shit. I bet you she's got an energy drink. What's that? Jackie asked, perking up. That sounded very interesting. One trip to the bar later, and this strange mystery drink had been procured. She downed it in one go, obviously. It was nice and bubbly, sweet, and tasted quite nice. She had no clue what of, though. As she pondered the taste, and confirmed that she felt just fine to the worried look of one of the guys, she started feeling this very strange tickling. She had already been quite hyper if she was being totally honest, but this shit was different. Hey, you, big guy, arm wrestle now, Jackie growled, with a cruel smile on her face, pointing at the table. She wanted to get around to that at some point, so why not now? Per was big. His shoulders were even wider than hers, and his arms were thicker, so she would just cheat, obviously. But she wanted to see what this strange tingling stuff did. When she promptly slammed Per's poor hand into the table, with enough force to send him off the bench she was sitting on, she just stared at her own hand in awe. A massive shit-eating grin starting to spread across her face, as the others either stared in awe or went to help poor Per, who was struggling to work out what just happened. Oh, I want to start a fight right now. Whoa. Let's try not to kill anyone. Right, sorry. What about pulling something? That's what this place is for. I mean, we could try that, I guess, the careful guy replied, not seeming overly confident, shrinking a little every time her eyes flicked to him. Heh, he's scared. Fucking adorable. Tom, why is Jackie pulling around an upside-down table with 5 guys and a dog on it? The tank commander questioned, as they all stared at the odd sight coming by ever so slowly. Jackie was really putting her back into it, to the point Tom was wondering if maybe she had felt left out earlier, when the dragons had to go at it. Eyes shining bright too in the dim light of the various lights, dotted around the arena. I have no idea, Tom admitted, wondering if he really wanted to know. He hadn't been scared of some guy running off with his girlfriend. Quite the opposite, really. He had been mostly worried about what would happen to the poor guy who tried his luck. But of all the ways Jackie had shown off before, this had to be the strangest for sure. At least she didn't try flying, Tom sighed to himself, wondering if perhaps some oversight was needed. There had been both Dakota and Essie to try and keep things calm. Surely they didn't need him too. Shiva just let out a very long and very disappointed sigh, as she too stared. Jackie slowly moving past them and up the now disused clay track. Does that even count as embarrassing herself? I mean, she's doing it, Jarek slurred out, head swaying from side to side. Oh, the little baby blue has gotten a woozy, Texia said, like she was talking to a baby, stroking the side of Jarek's neck with the back of a single claw. Is it time for bed yet? Jarek didn't respond to her, instead just looking down at Tom indignantly. See, Tom? This is what I get for everything I have done. It's not very dignified, he finally got out, Tom trying his best not to chuckle. The tank commander just blinked a few times, staring at the 2 dragons, as Kevin the driver scratched the back of his neck. This is not how I envision this moment. Not at all. You'll get used to it, Tom chuckled, shaking his head a bit. At least it's never boring.